Today's card is very cheerful, but it has a boyish look to it because of this great little motorcycle on the front. So there's the front, very simple, very sweet, and inside the motorcycle going uphill. So if you're interested in making this card, please stay tuned. Today I will be using the motorcycle small stamp, and it's got a cute little greeting, Born to be Wild, on there, as well as this little sign here. And then we've got the 6 layered labels and 2 swirls, cutting dies, the gold jewel border dazzles, and ignore that part that I used, and then the Happy Days double-sided paper pack. So here's the front side, and I'm going to show you the backs really quick. Red dot. This has got a really fun banner across one edge. This has a herringbone pattern on the back. Solid red, green. This is it looks like gingham from far away, but if you look closely, it's just tiny circles in red and white, and then in orange on the back. So with that, let's get started on the project. So the first thing I've done is covered my blank card with this pretty chevron print, and this card is 6.5 inches tall by 5 inches wide. I'm going to set it aside for now and move on to the cutting dies. This is the largest kind of an oval shaped label cutting die, and I'm going to cut it out using my Epic 6. The great thing about these dies is they work with a variety of different cutting machines. Mine just happens to be an Epic 6. So here's my cutting platform. Pay no attention to these cut shapes on here. I made a little boo-boo facing my dies the wrong way, but I'm only human. So I'm going to place this little oval die on there, and I want to use this pretty circles paper. It's kind of yellow and white pattern. I need a shape that's going to be big enough to fit over my oval. So let me just cut out an extra large rectangle here, facing the yellow part down onto the blades of the cutting die. Very important which way everything's facing. And you probably have a different machine than me, and you'll just follow your cutting dies machine's instruction and which platform to use and all that stuff. But I'm just cranking it through, and voila! I have my perfectly cut label here. This I'm going to foam tape on top of my card front, but I'm going to do a little more cutting with my dies. I'm going to cut this out of white cardstock, so that's going to hold my greeting. So get my sandwich in place again. Cutting mat. And you want to make sure that in the process your die and your paper stay put so that it doesn't slip off the die. I've done that many times. And we have a perfectly cut label that will fit perfectly inside this one. How cute is that? And so easy to do. Alright, now I'm going to stamp on my greeting. Okay, so what I've done with the shapes is I've matted them on this one on red paper and this one on green paper. Those are both from the paper pack as well. So I'm going to do something a little bit different with this label. I said I was going to stamp my greeting on here, but instead I'm going to stamp an image on here. This is the motorcycle from this small motorcycle stamp. It says Born to be Wild. And I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink pad. And the reason why I'm going to use this, it's a dye-based ink, is because I want to color in pieces of my motorcycle with. Spectrum Noir pens, and the Tuxedo Black Memento ink, which is dye-based, does not make the pens bleed as much, or at all, I guess. So that's what's recommended to stamp with if you're planning on coloring in. So here we go, centered right on my label. Right, and there's my fabulous motorcycle. I'll let that dry for a second, and then I'm going to color it in with some Spectrum Noir pens. So here's a bit closer of a look at this motorcycle, and I'm going to use Spectrum Noir pens, the reds set. So there's 6 different reds in there, but I'm going to use these two, which are CR10 and CR11. The CR10 is a bit lighter and the CR11 is a bit darker. I'm going to start with my darker color using the fine point of the pen. And just to show you, if you're not familiar with these pens, they do have a fat tip and a fine tip. And it's handy because when you put on the caps, here's the fine tip, and the fat tip has a black, fine tip has the gray. So that's how you'll know every time, so you don't take the wrong cap off. So I'm going to go in with my darker color. I'm just going to kind of go around some edges here. And some of these are too small to do 2 colors on, so I'm going to go ahead and color in what I want here. Alright, and then I'm going to go in with CR10, which is the lighter color, fine tip, kind of go over a little bit the darker color, and then fill in the rest. And this image is pretty small, so you'll just have to kind of be a little bit careful with your very fine tip here so that you don't color anything you don't want to be colored. I think that's good. Alright, so now I'm going to foam tape these stacked to the front of my card, but before that I want to add some ribbon. Alright, what I'm going to do first is take my motorcycle. This is a 1/8 inch hole punch, and you could probably use a standard hole punch, doesn't matter, but I've got an 1/8 inch punch here, and I'm just going to punch each side of my label, trying to center it as best I can. And then this is some ribbon from the Happy Days ribbon set, which can be ordered separately. And I'm going to kind of roll up my ribbon here, stick it through the front. There we go. So now I've got some ribbon coming out of this hole, and to stick it to the back, I'm just going to use a piece of regular tape. And that stays nice and flat. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. I'm using this long connected piece of ribbon, so I'm just using the other end of it, but I'm going to trim the ends in a little bit. I'm going to roll up the end of my ribbon as small as possible and kind of push it through the hole, pull it through, kind of turn it the way I want it to go, and tape it down. Okay, good. So now I have a motorcycle with my ribbons coming out both ends. And I'm going to put some foam tape on the back here. Just a couple pieces should do it. Take off the backing here. Place it on this guy. Just trying to center it. Okay. So now what I want to do is add some, these are just standard silver brads. I'm going to add them through the ribbon. So I've got this tool, it's a little poker tool. So it's nice because it's retractable, so you don't hurt yourself when it's just sitting there. And then I can go all the way out if I want to, or however long you need. This is pretty handy for clearing the tips of your glue bottle if you have a small tip in your glue bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole right here. Right through the ribbon, right through the paper. Kind of turning it. And there it is. Kind of loosening up a little bit. Take out the poker tool and immediately come in with your brad, and should fit perfectly through the hole. On the back side, just separating those prongs to attach the brad. And same exact process on the opposite end. Make sure you don't poke yourself accidentally. Okay, there we go. Got that hole. Coming in with the brad. Going right through that ribbon. And separating the prongs. Perfect. Alright, so now I want to foam tape this whole big one to the card. And we use several pieces of foam tape for this, just because it's a little bit larger. Okay. Right. And I like the look that the brads give. It gives it a little bit of hardware kind of to match the motorcycle. And foam taping that down. Next I'm going to glue these ends on using my zips. I'm going to have to order a new box of these soon. I'm running low because I use these so often. So I'm just going to cut 2 1/2-inch lengths off of here. 1 and 2. And it's going to go right here on the edge. Peel off the backing. Stick down my ribbon. And it sticks down pretty solidly there. Other side. You gotta kind of look where the glue is on that strip. And then place it down right on the edge of the card. Place the ribbon down, and voila. Turning over the card, now you've got these long ribbon ends. Just snip those off. And the other side. Perfect. Alright, now I'm just going to add a couple things to the bottom of my card. Alright, so what I've done all across the bottom is I've glued this metallic red twill ribbon from the Happy Days ribbon set, and I'm going to add some strips of those gold jewel borders to add a little shine. So this is just going to go along the top of the ribbon here. And it's super easy to put these on. Just have to go right across the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing across the bottom of the ribbon. And just trim off the excess. Alright, so now that has some nice sparkle to it. And I've made this piece right here, and so I've used the cutting dies to cut out this green scallop circle. There's the cutting die. And then I simply matted it on white cardstock. I cut a round circle. Instead of cutting into each little bump here, I just cut a smooth line around to make a circle there. And I used my little poker tool here to bore some holes in the top and the bottom. And these are mini silver brads. And the brads that I used are the chocolate brad pack. So it's got 5 different colors. These are great basic colors to have on hand, but they've got the mini size and the standard size. So it's really handy. So I've used 2 of the minis on here. And I'm just going to add a bit of foam tape to the back of this circle. And here we go. And it's going to go right over the ribbon in the bottom right corner. And now we are done with this very simple yet cheerful card. I think this would be adorable to give to a little boy on his birthday. And I'm gonna now do the inside, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've finished the inside. So what I've done here is I've covered the entire inside with this blue scallop paper. Then I cut a 3x5 rectangle of the chevron paper and then simply cut a diagonal into that rectangle and glued that on. Then I took my gold jewel border dazzles, sliced off just one of the excess areas here, just in a strip. And to do that I used my ruler and my cutting knife. And I just put the strip here, trimmed off the excess. And the motorcycle is the exact same as the one on the front. I just stamped it on plain white cardstock, colored it in, cut around it, just leaving about a 1/16 of an inch of a border around it, and glued that on. And up here I've stamped a row of just these little cute little, looks like a highway sign, but it's got a star in it. So I've just made a little border out of those. And that's my inside, so you have plenty of room here to write your personalized greeting. And now my card is finished. Thank you so much for joining me this week. And please stay tuned for today's bundle and you'll get a great deal of savings with that. So, see you again next week. In today's savings bundle, you will be getting the 6 layered labels and 2 swirls cutting dies. So that's a total of 8 different dies in this one pack. And these are great for almost every project. You can use them to frame your greetings. You can use them to even cut out windows or photos or any sort of label that you want. And I also have the Born to be Wild. This is the motorcycle small stamp. It's got 3 stamps on there. Very cute, very fun. The gold jewel border dazzles, and you will get a full set. I just had to use that. We've got plenty of borders on here to go around. And of course the Happy Days double-sided paper pack, which comes, they are all 12 by 12 papers, and there's 12 sheets total. 2 each of the sheets you see here. And I'm going to show you the reverse sides here. So the chevron reverses to this pretty red and white dot. And these are all really fun patterns here. And this one, let me show you the full effect. So it's got this really fun banner border going across the top. And then we have this really cheerful white circle and diamond pattern. All these little patterns are repeated throughout the set here. On the back of that is this navy blue and white herringbone pattern. It looks kind of like tweed or kind of a thick denim. And then this one's a white and a light teal scallop. This is one of my favorite patterns. I think it's so cute. On the back, a textured red. It's almost solid, but there's a slight texture to it. And this is a repeat of the white pattern, except in dark blue, and it's smaller. So just to show you a side by side. And then finally, we have the yellow and white pattern with the cheerful orange on the back. So this is a very happy looking set. And I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Simply Ann. Thank you so much for watching.